In this week's drive, we go to new heights to set a record in Chile, get it all horribly wrong in Portugal, go to work in winter inside the Arctic Circle, and see Britain's newest world champion in action. All this and more in this week's Drive. The opening race of the DTM season welcomed the 1998 and 99 Formula One world champion Mika Häkkinen, now driving a Mercedes. The opening race of the 2005 season was held on a new 4.5-kilometre long Grand Prix track. A frantic start saw last year's runner-up Gary Paffett going into the lead from the off, overtaking reigning champion Mattias Ekström at the green light. Just behind, there was a crash involving Denmark's Tom Christensen in an Audi, Laurent Aiello of France in an Opel Vectra, and Italian Audi driver Rinaldo Capello. The incident put paid to their race on the opening lap of the entire season. The order behind the safety car was Paffett, Ekström and Fassler. On lap 6, Ekström moved back into the lead as he overtook Paffett when approaching the hairpin, but Paffett struck back immediately and regained the lead. Behind them, Germany's Heinz-Harald Frentzen and Alexandros Margaritis of Greece collided. Frentzen took his Opel Vectra GTS into the pits for repair. Paffett, Ekström and Fassler then made their first pit stop in quick succession. Englishman Jamie Green and Ekström were involved in a tight battle for the lead and passed each other several times, until Green went off the track and slid across the gravel. Germany's Christian Abt in an Audi A4 grabbed the opportunity and passed Ekström at the Sachs curve. Häkkinen had made steady progress through the field, and he went on to finish a safe 8th in his first DTM drive. On lap 27, Ekström was passed for 3rd place by the Mercedes of German driver Bernd Schneider at the hairpin. A slight drizzle began to fall, and the shape of the lead changed as Frenchman Jean Alesi came through to overtake Paffett, winning by 5.6 seconds. Schneider came 3rd, 6.4 seconds behind Alesi. Christian Abt was in 4th place, followed by Ekström, Green, Mika and Häkkinen. Marcel Fassler came in 9th.
First come at you.
The stands were full of spectators as the NASCAR series visited one of its more popular tracks in Martinsville, Virginia. In fact, the half-mile Martinsville Oval is the shortest and trickiest track in the 36-race calendar.
Let's go racing!
On lap 11, Jeff Green in the number 43 car spun all by himself in turn 4 to bring out the second caution. Although he did create a cloud of smoke, miraculously he didn't hit anything and no one else hit him.
And he is not going to get hit. But Ryan Newman now will be back on the lead lap. The trouble right now is
There was trouble on lap 46 for Jeff Gordon, who felt a vibration and headed to the pits with a loose front wheel, just like in the previous race, and dropped 4 laps off the leaders.
8 laps ago.
Later in the race, Jeff Green was in trouble again, tapping Michael Waltrip, which caused him to spin and hit the outside wall, bringing out the 5th caution flag of the day. On lap 432, Tony Stewart's right front wheel came off and bounced down the track after the hub failed. Naturally, this caused yet another caution flag, the 14th of the race. After the next caution, there was a restart with just 3 laps left. Jeff Gordon was able to hold off Casey Kane to win. It was his 71st career NASCAR victory and his 2nd this season. Gordon must like this track. This was his 6th victory at the Martinsville Oval. With the victory, the former champion moved up to 6th in the points race. Jimmy Johnson, who finished 8th, remains the series points leader.
It doesn't get any better than that.
On to the street circuit of Long Beach now for Champ Cars. The last time the Newman-Haas team won America's longest-running street race was in 1987, when Mario Andretti won and current champion Sébastien Bourdais was 8 years old. But on lap 7, rookie teammates got tangled when Andrew Ranger went down the inside of Nelson Felipe, sending him into the barrier. Ranger continued on, but crashed on lap 70 of 81. Frenchman Bourdais won 7 of 14 races last year to take the championship. Paul Tracy, who started on pole, led initially before locking his brakes and allowing the other front row starter, Bruno Junqueira, to take the top spot. With no official pit windows this year, the lead changed on a number of occasions, but Bourdais, Tracy and Junqueira remained at or near the top for most of the afternoon. Still, when it came to crunch time, Bourdais made the pass on Tracy down the inside to collect his first win of the season and the 11th of his Champ Car career. He finished 4.1 seconds ahead of Tracy, nearly the length of the entire main straight on the 1.9-mile street circuit. 7 drivers led the race, but Sebastian led last, and for a race-high 37 laps. Bruno Junqueira finished third, followed by Justin Wilson, Tracy's new teammate Mario Dominguez, and a pair of rookies, Timo Glock and Romy Bremer. The next race is in Monterrey, in Mexico. Earlier this year, 8 Germans and a standard Volkswagen Touareg Expedition set out to climb to a record altitude above sea level. In the Atacama Desert of Chile, the adventurers ascended the north face of Hoyos del Salado, the highest volcano on Earth, which rises to 6,882 meters.
Right now, we are at 5,980 meters, which is, of course, not enough for us to achieve our goals. But I think we will get much higher.
Their mission was to install a seismographic station provided by the Geological Research Center of Potsdam in Berlin. Powered by solar energy, the research center will register every ground motion over a period of 9 months. Chile is located in a region which is hit most frequently by earthquakes. Clearly the assault wasn't an easy drive in the park, and some winching was required, sometimes more successfully than others. In addition to their scientific mission, for each meter of altitude achieved, the expedition team donated €0.50 to the SOS Children's Village in Santiago de Chile. The SOS Children's Village is an organization which was established in Austria in 1949 and is one of the largest international relief organizations, caring for more than 40,000 children worldwide in 380 villages and 131 countries. The Touareg Expedition is a special model which was launched in Germany at the end of last year. It comes with a 3.2-litre V6 direct injection engine, and about 350 will be produced annually. For the journey, Volkswagen added a 3.5-ton Warn cable winch, a full-length 8mm thick underbody aluminium skid plate, a roof rack and a differential lock on the rear axle. From 5,000 meters on, the team used a new type of oxygen supply system. The 4-kilo piece of equipment enabled the team to avoid dangerous altitude sickness by breathing pure oxygen for over 10 hours a day. A new world record of 6,081 meters was set within the guidelines of the Guinness Book of Records, and the Guinness Committee have acknowledged the achievement.
It is really a great feeling to be standing here at 6,081 meters, especially after we had to fight so hard during the last few days to reach this height. I want to once again thank everyone, especially the team, without which it wouldn't have been possible to get here. And of course, the sponsors which have accompanied me and supported me for so long. It is a great thing. I am very satisfied to be standing here on the side of Hoyos del Salado and enjoying the thin air through our breathing apparatus.
Mission accomplished on top of the world at 6,000 meters above sea level. During the Northern Hemisphere winter, far up in the northernmost part of Sweden, most of Europe's car industry gather to test their new products under some of the most difficult conditions imaginable. Volvo is, not surprisingly, one of them, and has opened its doors just a crack to its field operations at its top-secret test facility north of the Arctic Circle, so we can see what's involved. Of course, similar hot weather tests are conducted too, just not here. Anders Polheimer is Volvo's chief tester at the top of the world.
This is a very important part of the testing. Here, everything in the car is on the edge. Forces in clutches, gear shifting, instrument, everything is getting slower, heavier.
Cold starts down to minus 30 degrees Celsius are conducted, both in huge fridges called freeze containers and out in the winter night. Groups of engineers test to see how engines, electronics and brakes function, whether or not they screech or rattle, and how well the car runs. Not Not surprisingly, snow tests are important up here, and cars are driven extensively through real and simulated snowstorms.
We are focusing on the engine air filter installation. We're making sure that we don't get snow dust into the filter system. Because when we have snow packing in that system, we will have a large pressure drop over the filter paper. And this will reduce the performance of the vehicle.
Test drivers act like normal drivers and see how the cars respond, and then report their findings to the test engineers. Computers record everything that happens around the engine, in the instruments, the temperature in the engine compartment and in the air filter. The winter tests are one of the last confirmations that the new models, or the modifications made to an existing car, function reliably before they go into production. The test drivers need to be fussy, knowledgeable and passionate.
We're trying to find all the faults that can come up when the car is new, so we can fix it before the production starts.
You have to have a very great experience of cars and find a way to solve problems and really enjoy working with cars.
Customer-adapted driving takes place both on the test track and out on the public highway. Engineers and test drivers act as stand-ins for car-buying customers and frequently have many years' experience, both in the car industry and as drivers.
It was almost 6-7 years of my life. I was a test driver. I think I've been driving about 25 laps around the world.
Veronica is the youngest in the team of test drivers, born and bred in a mountain environment and completely at home in the snow.
I'm trying to find if there's any problems, like noise, and if there's something wrong with the car, I write a report.
Is it a tough job?
Yes, when you, hour after hour, you have to sit and drive around the tracks, and it can get very tired.
The most experienced test engineers travel around the world and drive in all conceivable environments. Here, Marcus Marklund tests the car's collision avoidance abilities on a frozen lake within Volvo's secret private test area.
If you meet a lorry or a truck in an icy road, you can have this type of situation when you need to brake or something in the curve, and then the car should react safely and smooth. It should be controllable in all situations. And here we can test the AVD system, and you can feel how it pushes away, and you don't want too much oversteer. It's easy to handle, and even if you push it over the limit, it's controllable and doesn't have any surprises. So I think it's quite good.
The four-wheel drive of the XC90 SUV is tested off-road, as far from the crush of the big city and the wide avenues as can be imagined. It's a question of ensuring the systems all function and don't get worn out in difficult conditions such as these. If it survives here, it'll probably survive anywhere.
I would say that every part or every system in the car is very, very important, because if something fails, it can be very bad consequences for the customer in the end.
During the whole of the winter, starting long before dawn and ending long after sunset during the short northern winter days, expeditions make their way out to accumulate mileage with the help of local test drivers. Hans is a huntsman and a security guard. Anna-Karin, a housewife, and Matthias is a mechanic. They live in Lapland, the habitat of Scandinavia's dwindling original inhabitants, with their herds of reindeer, original-style dwellings, and even their own flag. The local drivers take their duties very seriously.
Today I drive 283.4 kilometers. And have you done any sort of experiences about the car? Is it working okay? It's working okay, no problem.
And Matthias, the car enthusiast.
I like car very much. It's a hobby.
Anna Karen's point of view is equally simple.
You must like to drive a car. And you have to be a good driver.
Several of the test drivers are women, one aspect of winter testing procedures that test boss Anders Polheimer is particularly keen to maintain.
Because they have a little bit different feeling of the cars and how a car should work. It's they are thinking more daily usage than we men do. It's quite a lot of performance when we talk.
Yes, about 30,000 kilometers. The engineers want to know what's happened with the car when they have run 1,000 kilometers and 2,000 and so on. It's important what the woman thinks about the car. If we found anything wrong with the car, and they take us seriously. Lots of moose or elk. We haven't have any accident with the moose or with the reindeer.
Within the secret test base, apart from roaming reindeer, nothing can be seen other than the prototype cars doing their endless circuits.
That feeling when we have the car in production is really great.
Everything is harsh, everything is cold. It is a very difficult environment. But still, our customers, of course, think that the car should work in every climate.
It's only after being put through intense testing here in the north of Scandinavia at the advanced facility in the mining town of Kiruna and in secret field tests in different areas of the mountainous region that prototype cars receive approval and move on to the next stage. No laboratory tests or computer simulation could possibly replace this. Round 2 of the MotoGP World Championship saw Alex Barros starting on pole for the 5th time in his career. He finished 3rd here last year, but he's never won a race from pole position. Sete Gibernau took the lead from his fellow Honda rider, but things would change drastically when rain began to fall. The new white flag rule gives riders the option to change to bikes set up for the wet, but none did. Perhaps Sete should have stopped and changed because he slid off the track on lap 17, much to the annoyance and disbelief of his team in the pits. It was the turning point of the race as Barros was best able to cope with the tough conditions, staying ahead of world champ Valentino Rossi. Elsewhere, Rossi's Yamaha teammate Colin Edwards passed Gibernau's Honda teammate Marco Melandri. However, for those that pushed a little bit too hard in the changing conditions, the gravel traps seemed almost magnetic, as Honda's Troy Bayliss and John Hopkins from the Suzuki team found to their cost. Nothing could distract Barros, however, and he claimed his 5th MotoGP victory. But he pointed out that it wasn't easy after Gibernau fell off.
So after that, I need to keep the difference. I know I have a good advantage, but will in the end, the first part, mainly in the first and second corner, is really, really tricky. I know Vale tried to close the gap, so I tried to respond and continue to make the difference. And in the end, I make it. Really, really happy for all perfect the weekend.
Rossi and Max Biaggi cut the gap to Barros, but decided not to risk their podium finishes. In the 250 race, Randy Depunier started from pole, and the race turned out to be a battle between himself, world champ Dani Pedrosa, Casey Stoner and Italian class rookie Andrea Dovizioso. In the first corner of the last lap, Depunier took the lead ahead of Stoner and Dovizioso, but the Frenchman made a mistake, allowing Stoner and Dovizioso through. With nothing between them, it was Stoner who took the win by a whisker. It was the young Australian's first win in the 250 class. Mika Kallio became the first Finnish rider in 30 years to take a Grand Prix victory with his debut win in the 125 class. As the race started, Kallio temporarily conceded the lead to KTM teammate Gabor Tolmaxi, but the Hungarian crashed, forcing Thomas Luthi off the track. Luthi rejoined in 9th position before regaining ground to finish 3rd. Kallio held off a late attack from Spaniard Hector Fabel and took victory by just 8/1000ths of a second. Spain hosted the second round of the motocross season. In the first of 2 MX1 motos, Michel Pichon started from pole position, but made a slow start and sat in 4th place after the first corner, with Brian Jorgensen leading the way. Defending MX champion Stefan Everts forced his way through to the front ahead of a battle for second. Pichon nudged Joel Smets wide at one corner, but the Belgian was back in contention when Everts crashed, allowing all 3 to pass. Jorgensen then also lost control in the thick mud, and Pichon, who finished second in both of round 1's 2 races, cruised to the finish line. The Frenchman won the race in just under 40 minutes, with New Zealander Ben Townley, the reigning MX2 champion, beating Jorgensen to second place. Race 2 started with a bang as Jorgensen was knocked off his bike on the way to the first corner. The Dane suffered a heavy impact as several riders crashed around him and on him, and he later retired. New Zealander Joshua Coppens, who finished race 1 in 4th place, moved into the lead with Smets in close pursuit. The 2 riders were side by side, but Coppens had to take evasive action to avoid back marker Jussi Volverheinen and fell off. That allowed Smets to build more than enough space to claim the win. Further down the course, Ken de Decker was struggling to keep his Honda on track, and the Belgian finally gave up and collapsed in a heap, unable to contain his frayed emotions. Smets won with Everts second, but Townley's second podium assured his first MX1 Grand Prix win. Finally, we go to England for some good old-fashioned automotive anarchy. Banger Racing is the English name for what's known as stock car or demolition derby racing elsewhere in the world. Wimbledon is a name more usually associated with the genteel sport of lawn tennis, but the suburb of London has a darker side. A motorsport stadium with a figure-of-8 racetrack where drivers are virtually guaranteed to total their cars. Putting 30 cars onto this tiny track for 15 laps was always going to cause motoring mayhem, but this wasn't just any race. This was the World Championship. Figure-of-8 racing is not for faint-hearted drivers or spectators, but it provides some of the most thrilling racing on the short-circuit stadium scene, as drivers cross in the centre at speed and hoping to make it unscathed until the next time. There were no reports of serious injuries, which, given the nature of the sport, seems amazing. Top banger drivers from the UK and Europe drove their cars to total destruction on the figure-of-8 circuit in pursuit of the title and over £1,000 in prize money, which isn't much compared to what's on offer at Wimbledon's other sporting event. But eventually it was multiple former world champion Colin Farley of Essex who kept going to survive to the end. He's either very brave or completely mad, and has reclaimed the title to prove it as winner of the figure-of-8 Banger Championship of the World. Nice to see another English world champion crowned. So whether you're getting lost in the crowd, crowding a herd, or just happy to get high, so you stay on track and up to speed, make sure you catch next week's Drive.